One of the most powerful elements of any story is witnessing the moment a character begins to change. Transformation is never simple. A person does not shift overnight, but place someone under the right pressure, surround them with the right circumstances, and suddenly change becomes inevitable. Breaking Bad captures this transformation with a level of elegance few stories achieve. The slow, methodical descent of a quiet, unremarkable man into a figure of fear, ambition, and ruthless intent. And as we watch, a question echoes in our minds. How does an ordinary man carry such darkness beneath the surface? What hidden motivations push a human being beyond their own limits? And when long-suppressed emotions finally break free, what kind of person emerges on the other side? In this video, we dive deep into the philosophy of Breaking Bad and uncover the forces that sculpt Walter White into something far more dangerous than he ever imagined. The story begins with Walter White, a quiet, ordinary high school chemistry teacher. He lives a calm, almost uneventful life with his wife and son. Harmless, reserved, a little withdrawn, but beneath that calm exterior is a man crushed by financial pressure, buried in debt and worn down by years of feeling insignificant. His teaching salary barely keeps the family going, forcing him to work extra shifts at a local car wash just to survive. To make things worse, even his own students don't respect him. They mock him, ignore him, and treat him as if he doesn't exist. And then everything changes with one sentence from his doctor: cancer, and not much time left. When someone finds out their days are numbered, their entire mindset shifts. Facing death, Walter makes himself a heavy promise. He will leave behind enough money for his wife and son to live safely once he's gone. But reality is harsh. A teacher's paycheck could never build that kind of future. So Walter makes the darkest choice of his life. He'll use his chemistry skills, not in a classroom, but deep in the criminal world. And the distribution will be handled by Jesse, a former student who knows the streets better than anyone. As their operation grows, power, greed, ego, and ambition slowly take control. We watch a mild-mannered teacher step into the world of crime, gaining confidence, hardening emotionally, shedding the man he used to be, until he becomes someone far more dangerous. Walter White's descent is filled with deeper philosophical themes, and to understand his transformation, we have to start with the one idea that shapes it all: death. Walter White's diagnosis, learning he has cancer and only a few months left, becomes the first major fracture in his life. When a person is told their time is running out, everything they thought they knew about life changes instantly. At this point, it's worth mentioning philosopher Martin Heidegger, who spent much of his work exploring the connection between death and human potential. According to Heidegger, living with the awareness of one's own mortality makes life sharper, more meaningful. A person who truly accepts their own death becomes bolder, more daring, even aggressive in pursuing what they want. Heidegger summarizes it like this: if I bring death into my life, accept it and face it honestly. I free myself from the anxiety it creates, and only then can I be truly free to become myself. Returning to Walter White, we see that he too is forced to confront and accept his death. He has no alternatives. Whether he wants to or not, he won't be alive much longer. So accepting death isn't a choice for him, it's a necessity. But here's the real question. Does the confidence that Heidegger talks about actually appear in every cancer patient? Walter's situation is both tragic and unusual. And in reality, not every person facing death experiences the kind of empowerment Heidegger describes. In fact, many terminal patients show the opposite reaction: a sense of detachment, emotional exhaustion, even a quiet desire for the end to come sooner. But the opposite can also be true. Take Randy Pausch, a university professor who also learned he was terminally ill. Instead of shutting down, Pausch chose to fill his remaining time with as much life as possible. He chased his childhood dreams, spent deep, meaningful time with his family, and even wrote a book documenting his final months. When we look at real examples like these, we can divide people facing death into two groups: those who collapse into stillness and those who accelerate into action. Walter White clearly belongs to the second group. But unlike Randy Pausch, Walter's surge in activity doesn't come from a pure or inspirational place. Even though he enters the drug world to leave money behind for his family, the way he approaches the business, the ambition, the hunger, the thrill reveals something deeper, something hidden within him. After only a few operations, Walter begins earning serious money, enough to support his family for years. And yet he doesn't stop. He keeps going. And this creates a major contradiction. If his goal was simply to provide for his family, why doesn't he walk away once he's earned enough? Why keep choosing a world filled with danger, darkness, and escalating violence? This contradiction points to something crucial. Walter White is not the man he first appears to be. There are still shadows within him, parts of his character that remain unexplored and unresolved. Breaking Bad might look straightforward on the surface, but underneath it lies a world built on symbolism. Science, literature, philosophy, the series borrows from all of them, and one of its strongest metaphors comes from a single name. Walter White chooses for himself Heisenberg. That name is no coincidence. Werner Heisenberg wasn't just a physicist, he was a figure who brushed against some of the darkest corners of scientific history. His involvement in Nazi-led research projects placed him in a morally gray zone. And just like Walter White, Heisenberg's own life was eventually claimed by cancer. But those parallels, as striking as they are, aren't the heart of the matter. The real key lies in one of Heisenberg's greatest contributions to physics, the uncertainty principle. According to this principle, you can never know two properties of a particle with absolute precision at the same time. If you measure its speed, its position becomes uncertain. If you focus on its position, you lose track of its speed. Even how the particle will behave, as a wave or a solid particle, remains fundamentally unpredictable. In other words, a single entity can hold two different possibilities, two different faces, two different identities at once. And when we look back at Walter White, the connection becomes impossible to ignore. He too exists in a state of duality. On one side, he's the quiet, polite, devoted family man. On the other, he becomes the ruthless, calculating, power-driven figure known as Heisenberg. And with every step Walter takes toward that Heisenberg persona, the family man, within him grows more distant, more blurred, like the fading position of a particle whose momentum is being measured. Eventually, that side of him disappears completely. This is where the show reveals its biggest truth. Walter White was never the good man he appeared to be. The respectful, harmless chemistry teacher was only a surface-level illusion. When power finally fell into his hands, he didn't transform into a monster. He simply stopped hiding the one that was already there. That's why the idea of Walter turning bad is a misconception. He wasn't corrupted. He wasn't changed. He was limited, restrained by fear, circumstance, and a life he quietly resented. And when death approached, when he finally felt free from consequences, the darker parts of him surged to the surface. His hunger for control, his wounded pride, his long-suppressed ambition. To truly understand Walter, you have to look at one last thing: his potential. The version of himself he could have become, the power he never allowed to emerge until he was pushed to the edge. Walter White didn't transform, he simply revealed himself. The heaviest burden a person carries is the potential they never fulfill. The bigger that potential is, the deeper the pain of wasting it becomes. And Walter White is the perfect embodiment of this truth. Brilliant mind, a natural in chemistry, even someone who once contributed to work worthy of a Nobel Prize. But look at where he ends up. A man who once stood on the edge of scientific greatness is now wasting away as a high school teacher students don't even respect. Seeing someone this gifted throw away so much is tragic, almost infuriating. And exactly here, we start to understand why Walter clings so fiercely to the drug world. Because for him, it isn't just crime. It's the only place where his buried potential finally wakes up. With his chemistry talent, he creates a product unmatched in quality. For the first time in years, his brilliance means something. And through this dark path, he regains the one thing he's always been denied: respect. Throughout the entire show, Walter lies to himself. He hides behind the same excuse. I'm doing it for my family. But that's nothing more than a shield, a story he tells to avoid facing who he truly is. Because Walter White has always craved power, control, dominance. And in building his empire, he's also taking revenge on the failures of his own past. The truth surfaces most clearly in that one iconic moment when Skylar asks, "Did you do all this for our family?"
She did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. And I was alive.
Walter finally stops pretending. I did it for me. I liked it. And with that admission, the mask falls off completely. If we rewind his entire story, technically speaking, He achieves almost everything he set out to do. His family may despise him, but he leaves them a fortune. He destroys every enemy in his path, and the name Heisenberg becomes a legend, feared, respected, unforgettable. So the question becomes unavoidable. Did he win? And the answer depends on which version of him we're talking about. Heisenberg won, Walter White lost. Breaking Bad is filled with metaphors, but none more powerful than the title of one of its most crucial episodes, Ozymandias. In Shelley's poem, a traveler stumbles upon the ruins of an ancient king. The statue's base reads, "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty in despair." But when the traveler looks around, there's nothing. No kingdom, no legacy, no trace of greatness, just sand. Even the mightiest ruler is defeated by time. Walter White rose to become a king in the criminal world, but when he died, not a single loved one stood by him. His pride cost him everyone he cared about. And like Ozymandias, when time erases every last trace of him, the arrogance he carried so fiercely will vanish with it.